Welcome to Phil Svitek Podcast.
Hello, dear creative. My name is Phil Svitek, and I'm excited for you to join me on today's episode. It's where I interview my friend Charlie Berens. See, I feel it's very important for us as creatives to listen to other people's journeys because they might offer up certain insights or just inspire us. And Charlie is someone that I've known for a number of years. Him and his wife, Alex Worley, are two of my very dear friends, and I've loved seeing their trajectory in this business for the past few years. Both of them are hosts, and we touch upon that a little bit in the interview, but Charlie specifically is someone who is able to combine comedy with purpose, and I absolutely love that side of it because I think the message that he's ultimately spreading with a lot of his work is rooted in a lot of goodwill, and so I respect that. But there's so much more. My conversation with Charlie is very wide-ranging. We discuss things such as finding your purpose, how to truly invest in yourself, how to navigate social media, how to communicate with your audience, all that stuff and so much more. So definitely lots to learn. But before I get into the interview, I want to take a quick moment to remind you that if you haven't yet subscribed, I invite you to do so now. That way you get all of my lessons right when they come out. So if you just did that, thank you very much. And without further ado, here's my interview with Charlie Berens. See, what I love about you is I feel like you take comedy, but you give it purpose.
Oh, thanks.
You know, for those people that haven't seen your stuff, like one of the things that just absolutely moved me that had a little bit less comedy, but is your like history of lawns in America.
Oh yeah. We love lawn in America, right, Clint?
Get off my lawn.
I was just leaving, actually.
So I want to ask you, like, where do you get your, like, what motivates you in terms of purpose and
Sure.
things of that nature?
Well, I come from a journalism background, and before that, I grew up listening to a lot of Bob Dylan, and what I liked about Bob Dylan is he always added, he's an entertainer, but he always added, current event context into his entertainment, and what he ended up doing was creating some pretty powerful content for the day. Like Blowing in the Wind would be an example of that. So that was one of the guys I looked up to like early on, and that's why I wanted to do music. But then I got into college, I realized I wasn't as great of a musician as I thought I was. I started doing journalism, kind of fell into it. And I've always a good writer, so that helped in that context. Long story short, started working for MTV doing journalism, and then,
Almost sounds like an oxymoron now.
I know. It was an oxymoron then, but whatever. It was like the choose or lose, the young kind of journalism, whatever. I was always doing some form of like journalism and entertainment news and comedy news or whatever, and I just found that at the time, you had like, Jon Stewart, who was doing a lot of comedy, but he was incorporating news, and you could see his power, I think, by blending comedy and news. He changed, the way media worked, the way a lot of politics worked, actually, and then Colbert came after him, and now there's a whole slew of people following in that thing. But I think comedy for the purpose of comedy is good. I think it's fun. I think it's great. I just always like adding the so what at the end of it. So what does this mean? How is this going to interact with how we feel about life, how we feel about where we are politically or socially? Why do we do the things we do? I think that's just more interesting. And when you dive into that, I think it's more funny. Like the lawns piece is interesting from an environmental standpoint. Lawns are terrible, depending on where you live. And if you're like out here in California, this is not the place you should be having, Kentucky bluegrass lawn or whatever the lawn strands are. You shouldn't have it. But why do we? And that's like, well, I don't know. So you go into the history and you find out we stole them from the Brits, who used them as a symbol of status. So we basically, in this rah-rah America place we live in, we beat them in the Revolutionary War, but we're keeping the lawn? Why? It's the most useless thing they've offered us next to the royal family, Yeah. And, well, look at our tabloids. We have a lot of the royal family on there, but why keep it? Like, what, does anyone like it? And I grew up cutting it. I hated that. So anyway, I decided to just put that in to a little bit of a long form, comedic, journalistic, deep dive, I guess, into lawns. And the reason you incorporate comedy into that is like, if you just have facts, like, yeah, you could be right, but nobody's watching after a minute. So the idea with comedy too is you use it to keep people listening.
Now you mentioned Stephen Colbert, and I think that's a good analogy in terms of I can never say it, the Manitowoc Minute.
Yeah, the Manitowoc Minute. There you go. You did a good job. That was good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get these headlines done real quick once.
So how did that, I mean, would you say your alter ego, and like how did that come about? Because I think that's the culmination of what you're really talking about, at least in this point in time.
Sure, yeah. So I started doing the Manitowoc Minute for your audience in case they don't know. Should I address the audience by looking right there?
Yeah, I mean,
is this a main camera?
You can shift your chair.
The Manitowoc Minute is a new show, Midwest news show, where I talk about the most pressing issues of the day. I'm talking about Marshfield man getting locked in a Quick Trip beer cooler. And plenty more stories like that. No, it's a Midwest news show, so it's my character uses a very thick Wisconsin accent to talk about the news. The way this started was I was in news, obviously. I went around the country doing news, but one thing that was common no matter where I went in the country doing news was that people would say, oh, you have an accent, oh, you sound funny. You say this word weird or that word weird. And I had voice coaches and everything to try and help, and that's how I got into news, is I could hide it for the most part, but once you get comfortable, the accent comes out a little bit. It's come out in this interview, I'm sure, quite a few times. Keep her moving. So in journalism, you want a very neutral accent, but my character is someone who doubles down on everything that people dislike about his accent, and presents the news from his mom's basement in Manitowoc is the idea with that. And that started when I created the character initially for stand-up. So I was actually doing stand-up at the Comedy Store here in LA, and I was doing the character, and at the beginning I was like, is anyone from the Midwest? And this one dude raised his hand, he's like, I'm from Manitowoc. And he had a couple 2-tree beers, okay? And I was listening to that show the next day, and I noted that he was from Manitowoc. Now, at the same time, I noticed that bit always did well, so I decided to make it into a video series, and so that I named it after that guy in the show. So that's kind of where it came from, though. So
it's kind of an exploration. Like you didn't all of a sudden seek out. I mean, you've been doing journalism and comedy for a long time at that point, and just like all of a sudden this was the thing. Yeah,
I think so. And a few years earlier I had tried this series called Headlines That Suck, which is basically the same format as the Manitowoc Minute. Really is like headline, punchline. But it was too open, you know what I mean? There wasn't strong enough of a niche, there wasn't strong enough of a point of view on that. And I think that's important when you're creating, to find a very strong point of view with whatever you're doing and really dive into it and explore it. And when you do that, I think you find an audience pretty quick. Real quick ones,
yeah. So let's keep her moving.
Yeah, nice. Well played.
That's a catchphrase. By the way, I'll link to all of this in the show notes. But one of the things that, like, in terms of this series that I do, I finally came up with a thesis, which is I think you need to master mental fortitude in order to really achieve success as an artist. And so, from your perspective, I kind of want to, do you agree with that, and kind of what has helped you kind of mentally navigate this industry of ours, because it can be up and down.
Yeah. Well, I like that, master mental fortitude. Now, what do you mean exactly by master mental fortitude?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's working on yourself every day. It's for some people that's meditation. It's also like getting exercise. Finding the right balance. We always talk about life-work balance, and what does that really mean? So it's all these things where there's a quote from Mark McGinnis who says, we put our heart and our soul into our work, and sometimes we've got to work on our heart and our soul. And I think that's kind of what I really mean about that is, we can't just expend our energy. We also have to kind of breathe in as well.
Absolutely. No, I think you're right. And you say, master mental fortitude, right?
Yeah, and basically, like, don't have the wheels, because burnout's a real thing.
Yeah.
In a lot of industries.
Yeah.
I think, with the advent of social media, too many people, they see things on Instagram and they want to be it, but they don't know how to achieve it, and it fucks with them mentally. So like all these things, like everything's just coming at us in all these different directions. And I'm not saying social media is good or bad. I'm not saying today's day and age is good or bad. It's just how you navigate it mentally.
Yeah. Oh, I hate it. I hate all this social media. I hate all this stuff. I think it's bullshit.
But it's a tool for you.
I use it as a tool. I use it as I didn't like reading as a kid either, but I ended up learning how to do that. I like reading more now. I think social media is garbage, but we use it. It's only garbage if you use it in the wrong way. And I think we all have a tendency to do that. But I like what you're saying, master mental fortitude. And I almost think like to yes and that, I think it's like, learning mental fortitude or being okay not having mastered it yet, but always being in the process of learning and learning about yourself, because I think that just for me, and I think this answers your original question, it's all about momentum. Like for a while I was stuck like kind of editing or producing or whatever, like these news videos, and I didn't feel like I enjoyed doing that, but I didn't think it was getting me to where I wanted to go. I didn't think I was using my stuff. So what I decided to do is I was a host for a long time, and I had these interviews from Sundance that were just sitting there. And so I ended up saying, okay, like I'm going to put out one a week. I'm going to cut them and put them out one a week because they're just sitting on a drive right now. So once you start getting a video out, it's kind of like, okay, that's momentum. And it's momentum in some direction. Maybe it's not the direction I want to go, because I think the problem a lot of people have is they spin their wheels thinking like, what am I going to do? And you want to come up with the perfect business plan, or you want to come up with the perfect thing. And for me personally, and everyone's different, but for me personally, that's always been the biggest waste of time for me, is trying to figure out exactly what to do. Because I think you learn so much by just doing it and making all these mistakes and being like, I don't like that, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think perfection is the buzzkill of creation, so you just need to put out and correct on the go. It's like jazz. You hit a blue note, you just keep going, that's what makes jazz great. That's what makes our lives great, So anyway, I started putting out these interviews, and I was like, okay, I'm putting them out. Some are doing okay. Most of them not. Most of them don't get any views. Some of them get some views. That's great. But then it's like, what else can I do? So I started doing just straight to camera videos. And then I started doing sketches. And then I came up with like, okay, once a week, I'm going to do a video. And I held myself to that. And I think that's it. Come up with a deadline, whether it's true or not, but believe it's true and hold yourself accountable to that if you want to do this thing. So then just hit a video a week. Well, eventually, then I put out the Manitowoc Minute, and then that one just took off. And it was like, oh, okay. So then I did another one. Like when something takes off, respond to that, do another one. Yeah. Because then I did another and another. And then after a while, it became a thing, and really not after a while, really after like a few videos, it became a thing. So I stuck with it and was consistent, and then, got a couple stand-up tours out of it. And now it's not like the thing I would have ever imagined being like the dream job, or being the thing I could have thought I was going to do. But what I initially wanted to do was play music, but now since like comedy has taken me so far, what have I incorporated into my live shows is music. So I've, then invested some money in like a voice coach to try and sing right, So now, like kind of in a backdoor way, I'm able to like do the thing that I really enjoy quite a bit, almost the most, is like the music thing.
I like the way you drive. If you see this, hit me up for round 2. Loser buys. Thank you.
I just think fail your way into success is a good way to maybe look at it.
About it,
yeah.
Yeah, I hear that all the time of, people in their 20s, and perhaps I was a victim of it too. Like, what's my purpose? I need a purpose. I'm not doing it. And it's like, you don't need, just slow down. What gives you energy? What are you passionate about? Just start there.
Yeah.
And then it'll present itself if you let it.
Very, very wise. Yeah. What makes you just want to do more? It could be something, it could be, like a dumb joke or whatever. And you're good at telling a dumb joke. The Manitowoc Minute is a dumb joke. It's a dumb joke.
It's a series of many good dumb jokes.
Yeah, it's a series but within that you can find a powerful joke in there, and so whatever you're doing, you can find purpose. Steve Martin said to be a political comedian, not every joke needs to be political. It's like in a 45, 50-minute set, he said one time he did all whatever, just funny stuff, and one joke in there was a political joke, and that's what people remembered, so let's say, and I use political joke in the way you're talking about, like purpose, you can find purpose in whatever you're doing just by one little tiny thing you do, but just find what works and find your audience, and love your audience, give your audience something back, let them feed you back, and then build something from there.
What has been, up to this point, your biggest struggle, and have you kind of overcome it, whether mental or technical?
Let's see here. Well, I think mental, a big thing is you think that, your mental problems, whatever they are, it could be relationship, it could be work, it could be, your existential thing, your fear of the White Walkers or whatever. It could be anything. It's not going to go away once you find success. And so it's not about trying to eliminate those mental anguishes that we all have. That's just part of being human. That's part of we're the only species that understands language and is able to think past and future and all that. So that just comes with the brain we have, which is a cool thing. But instead of freaking out, and I read this book that described it as quicksand, instead of just freaking out and falling deeper into the quicksand by thinking and focusing on these problems that we all have, whatever they are.
Do you remember the book?
Get out of your mind and start living life, or get out of your mind and start. But it's instead of going deep into the quicksand, they talk about just, laying flat, when you're in quicksand, and then you can increase your surface area and just roll your way to safety. But that's what it is. It's you're not getting out of this mental anguish. You just need to live with it, accept it, love it, and then I think over time it minimizes in your head, and real problems will work themselves out. But it's realizing that we all have problems and they never fully go away, so accepting it.
Awesome. Let me ask you this, and I don't want to implant a worry in your mind, but an interesting thing that I was talking with a friend of mine who manages YouTubers, right, for a multi-channel network. He said that now people that have been doing this for 10 years as YouTubers, they're getting burnout because the audience doesn't want them to shift. And so you're enjoying right now the Manitowoc Minute. Do you worry that eventually there's going to be a point you're going to, how do you keep it fresh for yourself and not just your audience?
Well, I think it's always finding new ways. I think, you give your audience what you want. And to a certain degree, the main show that I've done, I'm looking for other ways to invent within it.
You gave yourself a limitation of, okay, he's in his mom's basement. Would you ever do such a thing where all of a sudden, he gets a random investment from some multi-millionaire of and all of a sudden he has this amazing studio?
Yeah, I'd definitely be open to that, especially if there are any multi-millionaires watching this right now. No, I think it's about finding the funny, and if it's funny enough, I'm on board with it, and that's the thing with comedy is I think my audience is on board with what's funniest, and I'm on board with what's funniest. So if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to feel like I need to do it anymore. And in fact, that's a good time to stop if I don't want to do it. And I mean, I'm pretty good at saving money and all that sort of stuff, or I try to. But what I'm saying is it's not like I'm doing it for the money, I'm doing it because I enjoy it, and I'm doing it because that's the thing. And I do not need to do it, nor do I ever. And most of the content that I do, like the lawn video you were talking about, that was just done I think I paid money to do that. I'm sure with the time it took and then, shooting it and all that. I mean, I think I did it all myself, but I paid in time to do it, so.
So there's a couple of questions there. One about like investing in yourself. Two, let's start here though. You keep kind of mentioning that you're attuned with your audience.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like apart from just watching the views and saying like, oh, this video is doing well.
Yeah.
How do you really gauge that?
Well, I think I read messages and I respond to messages. And it's really as simple as that. I read comments and I try and respond to comments. Now, some videos I can't respond to comments on, but each video I try to read and respond to some comments. And I try to respond to Facebook messages, Twitter messages, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. It takes a lot of time, but it gives me a sense of where the audience is. Also, I get a lot of great ideas from the audience. And that's what I think is cool about the Manitowoc Minute and being very hyper-local is that it's not me just building this thing, it's like the audience building it. I really listen to the audience and try to be like something for them where I incorporate their ideas, I incorporate their jokes, their headlines, that sort of thing. I give shout outs to certain people within it. So I really try to make it be about the audience it's serving. And beyond that, at live shows, if people will message me and say, I don't have money for this, but I want to see you live, it's like, great, I'll get you like a comp ticket or whatever. And so it's like bringing that online audience into a room where if you can't afford it, just let me know and I'll get you in. But everyone's there and everyone's having a good time and it's like this community in real life, which I don't think we often experience. So I think between combining just listening to people, hearing ideas and incorporating their ideas and then doing these live shows all across the Midwest and then, starting to do it across the country, I think all those things are just like really integrating the audience.
Mm-hmm. And what's your take, like you mentioned with the lawn video, you spent time and money. So how do you draw the line in terms of investing in yourself?
Oh, always do it. Always invest in yourself. And by that, I don't mean spoil yourself, but I mean like some people will make the mistake of like, oh, I can't afford the editing software. And I'm like, you can't afford not to get the editing software. I don't care if it's $20 a month, find the money. $20 a month people can find. And I mowed lawns for most of my, like growing up. Like you can find $20, I guarantee it. I did so many odd jobs, but that's what you need because nothing drives me more crazy than somebody saying, oh, I have all this great content, but I can't edit it. I don't either know how, or I don't have the time or whatever it was. Then you're your own worst enemy. Like that's what you have to do. Whatever you need to get your content out, buy it, do it, get it, but then actually do the work and you will see the money come back, I think. Now I'm talking within reason, you know what I mean? And start with a minimal, what do they call it? Minimal viable product or whatever?
Yeah.
Is that
Silicon Valley term.
Someone said that. I was like, MVP, I can remember that. But like, so maybe you don't need the MacBook, but maybe you've got their editing apps now. There's like no reason not to be able to self-publish and put out product in some way, shape, or form. So start small, but start and be dedicated to your product and invest in your product. It'll come back to you if you believe in it and you're committed to it.
Well, let's just finish up with your last incident. It says that you stole from a homeless man a few days ago.
I did not steal from a homeless man. There was $5 on the ground. That is fair game. Plus, I just asked the universe for a kombucha.
Well, I even look at I look at it from a simpler standpoint, like with budgets, right? You were talking about your editing software, $20 a month, go make it. Mm-hmm. And too many people that I know, unfortunately, feel like they just don't make any money. And so rather than like even worry about it, they're like, well, I don't make anything, so I just don't want to see anything, blah, blah, blah. And what they don't realize is all of a sudden they're spending, $20, $40 on sushi every other night.
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, if you really just sat down and even though you're not making quote unquote a ton of money, there's still a way to utilize that money in the best way.
Definitely. Yeah, everybody's making money somewhere. They're not, or they're living with somebody or they're being financed in some way. But no, I think you're absolutely right. If you just sit there and look at it. And I've never been good about that, but if you don't do it, the anxiety that you then are producing inside of you also weighs you down. It's like plaque in your brain, you know? Yeah. So you're less able to be creative because you're thinking, did I pay those taxes? Do I have that much? You know, like just get out. Now I say all this knowing that I need to get a bookkeeper, a new bookkeeper and everything. So I have some of that in my brain. So I'm not saying this like I'm an expert in it. I'm saying like, this is what I need to do. This is what I recommend people do. Just get it out there so it's out of your head and it's not affecting your creativity. And also you're maximizing what you do have, whatever that is, you're maximizing it. But the number one priority is spending on not sushi, but on your product, because that'll just come back to you. You'll get all the sushi you want in a matter of a couple months if you're really committed to the product.
Yeah. Your wife Alex, she's also a host.
Yeah.
What's it like living with, two hosts? Does that
compete
at any certain point?
Well, no, I don't think it competes. And does something much different than I do. She's more of in like that female entrepreneur, expert kind of space, or, she really pushes social media for female entrepreneurs and helps them create their like brands. So it's very different than what I do. But and she has gotten into all kinds of different stuff of producing and really going heavy on PR for some businesses and that sort of thing. So she's really exploring her own thing and finding a lot of joy in that. So there's definitely never been any competition. Yeah. I know some people assume that or talk about that sometimes in their own relationships, but I don't. I would be thrilled if I felt like like if something great happened for her, I'd be thrilled. And think great things do happen for her, and I am thrilled about that. And I think vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people talk about like this notion that, as an actor, you should never date an actor, but it's like, that's your circle of people. When am I going to meet a doctor?
Yeah, right.
Most of my day is not spent with doctors or lawyers or whoever.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think you find who you find. You could find someone like that, but I don't think you're not going to have any more or less problems, I don't think, dating within your profession, unless you want to escape your profession, and then everyone's kind of different in that regard. But inherently, I don't think there's a problem with it,
Yeah. Going back to the idea of social media, are you an overall pessimist in terms of where content's headed, or are you a pessimist of like, there's just too much, it's overcrowded, all that? How do you view it?
Yeah. I think social media is great because now I know I said it is bullshit before, but I think it's awesome in terms of democratizing content, being able to create your own content and not having to worry about more gatekeepers telling you no. I think it's wonderful, a wonderful creative tool. But I think it gets problematic when you are concerned about what people think about a picture of your food that you took. I think if you are using social media to say, look at me, it's like improv. Like improv, the rule is yes and. You take something and then you add to it. So I think if what you are putting out there doesn't yes and, then in my mind it's useless. I like mute it or unfollow it or ignore it or whatever. Like I don't ever really want to see like just a picture of food unless there's context added or whatever, or maybe like you're a culinary thing. There are reasons to take pictures of food. I'm not gonna. That's just the example I'm thinking of. Okay.
This might be deep diving too much into social media, but let me ask you, I have friends that I'm friends with, not like the closest of friends, but relative.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to follow them because of what they're putting out. And like, not that they're bad people, but I'm just like, this just isn't for me.
Yeah.
But God forbid if I unfollow them.
Oh, I just mute them. Muting's great.
That's the tool? That's what you gotta do.
Because you never have to see them again. It's perfect, or just, And there's certain ones that like, I think if the social media platform for me, I only go on and follow like, or really look at like other comedians for the most part, because I'm really not interested in what anybody else is doing. I'm certainly not interested in what people I know are doing. Like, I don't go on Facebook to scroll through a news feed. I go in to publish my thing and then get the hell out. And if I ever find myself scrolling, I'm gone. I might, like, that's a rule, like, because it's doing nothing for me. It's putting me in a consumption mode of mind, and it's incredibly damaging for creativity. So if I could, like, I have like a personal Facebook page only because I think if I get rid of it, I get rid of my fan page. But
they're all interlinked.
But I try to just make it private, and then just like, I haven't responded to I don't know. It's worthless in my mind. Same with Instagram. If you're like doing this, it's worthless.
Well, I think I'll do that because I want to support people, but I do it in the sense of, okay, in the afternoon, like there's a set dedicated time rather than, I've got some downtime, I'm on the crapper.
Yeah, right.
Get the phone out.
Exactly. Well, you said something that makes me look like a jackass, and I do agree with you. You want to support people, and that's very good. And I could be better about that.
But you go into your community, right? I think there's a difference. A lot of people that just push out content, they're just doing it from this high and mighty place. But the fact that you do respond to comments, I think there's a vast difference in the two.
Sure.
Because you have that mentality of like, okay, I'm gonna get to the level of my audience.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna interact with them.
Right.
And that means that we need to be interacting.
Right. Well, and they're my boss to a certain degree, and they are what I'm creating this for, you know. So it's like, we're creating it together. But I think it's, you know, so it's important to support people, but I guess for me, in my mind, in my personal trade-off, I'll like a few things, but then I you know, I'm not perfect. I'll end up scrolling.
Supporting people means different things. Like, just because you don't like their stuff on social media, I think it's that, you know what I mean? I think you've always been, whenever you're, like right now, you're here, you're always very present. You know what I mean? Your mind's not on the meeting you have to get to, your mind's not anywhere else. And so I think, if I could impart any wisdom on you, I think that would be it. Like, because there's different ways of supporting. You know?
Right. I will support in any way that is liking a bunch of friggin' photos on Instagram.
There should be an app for that. Just like all my friends' photos.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just like, so I don't have to. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You know, you see it though. It's just like this is just what hell is. I think hell is just a big fucking screen in front of you, and you have nothing to do but scroll it for all eternity.
Seeing all the live people.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Fair enough. Well, I think I have to get you to your next meeting, but any last words you want to impart? You know, whatever's meaningful to you, whatever.
I just think do it. Like, whatever, you know, the Manitowoc Minute was something that really took off for me and did great. And I had the idea for it 3 years before I ended up doing the first video. I found like this old pitch deck that I did, and I think I pitched it to like Comedy Central or something, and you know, it was a not for us kind of a thing. So then it fell by the wayside, and it was always kind of there in the back of my mind. And then 3 years later, I brought it out, and it was a great success. But what if I brought it out 3 years earlier? Where could it be now, you know? And everyone's got their own path. So it's like, don't look back with regret, you know, just look forward, and whatever you have to do, there's no better time than now, and just, you know, push forward and keep her moving, dear guy.
Keep her moving.
So, yeah,
what's the go Packers?
Yeah, it's always go Packers. And fuck the Bears, okay? Sorry if you're a Chicago fan out there, but you're a Patriots fan, right?
Yes.
Sorry about Super Bowl 31. You know, I apologize for that.
Yeah, I know, it still hurts. All right, well, thank you. And where can people follow you? What's the best place?
Yep, at Charlie Berens or at Manitowoc Minute or whatever. And that Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the Twitters, whatever it is. Yeah. Awesome. Say hi and all that sort of stuff.
Once again, thank you to Charlie for participating in this interview and sharing his journey with you. I hope you got as much out of it as I did. I will be linking all of his projects in the description below, so that way you can check out more of his work, and also Alex's. Speaking of which, for more free resources, check out my website, philsvitek.com. There's so much to check out beyond just these lessons, so I invite you to do that. Also, I just released a short film my friends and I made called A Very LA Birthday. I invite you to check it out. It's only about 5 minutes. Big shout out to the people that have helped contribute to this podcast and made today's episode possible. If you too would like to support this series, you can do so by going to patreon.com/philsvitek or by going to the merch store and sporting some merch. That's a wrap. I'm at Phil Svitek on social media, and I'll see you next Wednesday with another one of my lessons. Bye.